Shabbat Shalom. Let me hear everybody in the room. Shabbat Shalom. It's wonderful to have you. Good Shabbos. We welcome our Teen Tefillah team who's here. And if you turn in your prayer books to page 214, you know, we're always in the image of God, but on Shabbat, we're just raised a little bit higher so we can maybe feel that image of God inside a little more and certainly see it in another person's face. So please join us, B'Tselem Elohim.
To Kabbalat Shabbat and hearing the music and feeling the vibe and being together as a community, but never, ever more than when the Teen Tefillah comes. Am I right? Woo! So, along with this energy, I am very excited to welcome up a special guest to come with his grandma to come and light the Shabbat candles tonight. I invite Eileen, Bez, and Austin to come on down, help us welcome Shabbat. As we turn to page 14. Thank you. Page 14.
flickering flames of the Shabbat candles mark this moment as sacred time, a time of warmth as our community joins together in prayer, a time of brightness as our spirits are lifted by the melodies of our people, a time of light as we look towards the future through the eyes of our children. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotai v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
We turn to page 34 for Lecha Dodi.
Shabbat lechuvin elcha ki mekor haberacha merosh mikedem nesucha sof maaseh v'machshava kila lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela boi v'shalom atzeret bala gam b'simcha ובשולה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי הלאה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה 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 לך דודי לקראת קלה
Service continues on page 42 with the Reader's Kaddish. Yitkadal ve'yitkadash shemei rabah ve'almad yifrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei kol beit Yisrael bagala u'vizman kahari ve'yimeru amen yesh me'raba mevorach yolam ulalmei al mahayah ישתבח, ויתאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי תקדשה בריחו, להבין כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, אמירן בהלמה וימרו, אמן.
That the weather is a little bit warmer, we join together on the top of page 46. Master of the universe, grant me the ability to be alone. May it be my custom to go outdoors each day among the trees and grasses, among all growing things, there to be alone and enter into prayer. There all that is in my heart, talking with you to whom I belong. And may all grasses, trees, and plants awake at my coming. Send the power of their life into my prayer, making whole my heart and my speech through the life and spirit of growing things, made whole by their transcendent source. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Blessed are you, O God, who makes the evening fall. Page 50. O God, you traveled with our fathers as they journeyed through the wilderness. You sang with our fathers at the shores of the Red Sea. You stood with our fathers as they fought against oppression. You have brought us all here, fathers and mothers, daughters and sons, to our own promised land of freedom.
יהם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נהגה יומם ולילה באהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל.
Malchut
seated, we continue on page 57. Page 57. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Amen.
Yesterday I returned from a visit with my wife to Portugal. And I can tell you I didn't go to Portugal because of the Jewish story, but among the many stories that were profoundly important was the story of the Jewish people. A historic moment. It's about our people's disappearance. It's about the terrible Inquisition. And we had a wonderful guide. And the guide was telling us history of his personal family journey and the reality that there are Jews there working so hard to be Jewish. In a place where there are few Jews, we did a tour of the Jewish world there. We saw 3 artifacts. That's it in Lisbon. But you hear a story told about our people. I want you to know, if it hadn't been for you guys, I probably would not be here tonight. I am really tired. But it's not that you just sing well. It's that you make us feel prayerful. And I can just imagine what that gentleman who is guiding us, the only Jewish guide, by the way, in Portugal, and he's outstanding. If you're going, I'll give you his name. He's worth it. I can't imagine what he would experience Jewishly to hear a service led by young people who care about being Jewish and are able to express that in the way you are. It's part of the journey of our people. It's why we sing Mi Chamocha at every service. It reminds us of our history, of our people's journey, and the recognition that there is a future. We will continue to cross seas. We will continue to move on to Sinai. We will continue to see a future. Page 62, Mi Chamocha.
No
את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, גאה ישראל.
We continue in the middle of page 64 together. Cause us, our Creator, to lie down in peace, and raise us up, O sovereign God, to renewed life and peace. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel, and be our shield of mercy and of peace. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Blessed are you, Adonai, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem.
Every voice on that, every voice, join us. V'shameru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat. V'shameru la'asot et HaShabbat לדורותם. ברית עולם.
ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי להודם, כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת. ושמרו לעשות את השבת לדורותם. ברית עולם.
וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת. ושמרו לעשות את השבת לדורותם. ברית עולם. ברית עולם. ברית עולם. We rise together on page 68. Adonai sifata tiftachu fi agi tehilatecha. Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, Elohei Rachel, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah.
Page 69. Together, prayer invites us to let God's presence suffuse our spirits, to let God's will prevail in our lives. Prayer cannot bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city. But prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, and rebuild a weakened will. Baruch atah Adonai, mechaye hakol. Blessed are you, O God, who renews all things.
אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. As you're seated, we pray silently.
Whatever was weighing you down when you walked into this room this evening, I hope you are feeling a little bit lighter now. The music and the prayer doesn't make our troubles go away, but it does add a little something. It warms our hearts. It makes us feel a little bit better, more connected to our families, to the people who we are with. And actually, that's what the Misha Berach prayer is supposed to be too. So as we turn to page 83 for the prayer for healing, we think of those people who are ill, who need a little lighter step, who just need a little something extra. Obviously, we want their illnesses to go away, but perhaps, if nothing else, it can just lighten their load a little bit. And so we ask God to bless them with a refuah shlema, complete healing of body and of spirit, as we sing these words together.
On Tuesday night, Sisterhood held its annual Freedom Seder. Each year there is a new theme. This year it was opioid addiction, an epidemic that is devastating our country. We heard a harrowing story of recovery from a 34-year-old woman who had been using heroin and opiates since she was 12. She described depression, self-hatred, and the masquerade she successfully put on for her family for the entire duration of her illness. I'm thrilled to say that she is a successful nurse who not only loves her job and has made peace with her family by telling them the truth, but most of all, she loves herself enough to have worked for recovery and remain clean for 7 years. We also learned from a medical doctor who specializes in addiction and psychiatry. The statistics she shared, the uphill battle to treatment, and the tsunami of addiction in this country is just astonishing, almost too much to comprehend. I felt comforted, though, knowing that doctors like her were on the front lines of this battle, hopefully leading us towards healing. But I have to be honest, even with the remarkable story of recovery I heard and the important work happening in our medical institutions, that's not what kept repeating over and over in my head from that evening. Before we ate, our Sisterhood President Susan Singer and I were talking as dinner began. She and I both agreed that we weren't going to go to the buffet to eat until we knew everyone else had eaten and they had had as much as they wanted. Many of the women on the committee planning the Seder made this silent pact. We had been taught well by our parents. Guests eat first. Susan then told me a story about a congregation that our sisterhood had visited in North Carolina for an event. At the congregation, the sisterhood baked the Oneg Shabbat every single week. It was a labor of love, but a labor no less. They never knew quite how many to expect, so when they had an especially large crowd on Shabbat, they sent this message around: family, hold back. Susan said it went around like those old telephone chains we used to have before we could send like a mass email or text. One woman would tell the next, and 2 minutes later, every sisterhood member and her family knew family hold back. And family hold back means just what it says. If you are a sisterhood member or a member of her family, hold back, don't eat. The message was, wait until the guests have eaten, and if there is enough, go ahead and eat. But not until all the guests have eaten should we eat. I just couldn't stop thinking about this. We often talk about sharing what we have, but presumably, or all too often, it's when we have already had our fill, or at the very least, we have enough for ourselves and our family. But giving before you have for yourself, giving when you might not have the opportunity to fulfill your own need, family hold back. It felt like it was the ultimate lesson of generosity, humility, and hospitality. Giving before you even provide for yourself. I don't think Maimonides included this on his ladder of charity, but I think he should have. Next week at this time, we will all be sitting around our Seder tables. And no matter which Haggadah you use, Rabbi Marla gave a lot of really good suggestions last Shabbat, so you can go watch her sermon if you need some. Each of us will begin our Seders with roughly the same words. Let all who are hungry come and eat. Let all who are needy come and celebrate Passover. Our Seder begins by saying, in not so many words, family, hold back. Open your doors to those who could not provide for themselves, those who had no other place to go. We point to the symbols of Passover laid out on the Seder plate, the roasted shank bone being one of the most prominent symbols. It reminds us of the Passover sacrifice made by our ancestors thousands of years ago. The Torah instructs that each household should make its own sacrifice. However, if a family cannot provide a sacrifice for themselves, others who can afford to sacrifice one of their flock are mandated to welcome those less fortunate into their homes and share their sacrifice. We were not permitted then, nor are we permitted now, to allow people to go without, to be left on the periphery because lack of agency, lack of wealth, lack of access. It's simply not permitted. Family, hold back. Even Joseph, the Prince of Egypt, understood this concept. He is why we are in Egypt in the first place. There was a famine in Canaan, and his brothers and father came to him to find relief and sustenance. Joseph could have easily said, I am a prince of Egypt, that is my priority. But he did the exact opposite. He opened the door, shared the grain, and saved lives. Maybe he knew they had planned well enough for everyone in Egypt and everyone who was escaping the famine. Maybe he didn't. The Torah doesn't give us this information. But what we learn from his actions is that he understood the concept of family holdback. And every year at our Seder, whether we realize it or not, we are being tested. Elijah was a very sneaky guy. He liked to disguise himself and go from town to town as a beggar, dirty and smelly, hand out, hungry. Elijah was none of these things, but he was cynical. He was cynical of humanity. He didn't believe that anyone would help him. So he would go from town to town masquerading and see who would help him and who need a lesson in compassion and charity. Today, our tradition teaches that we should look at every human being as though they might be the prophet Elijah in disguise and treat them accordingly. When Elijah knocks at your door, what will your response be? And I don't mean at your literal door. We all know that sending children to the door is adorable, and then make sure you sip some wine. Austin, don't listen, so they believe that he visited, and everyone has a good time. But I'm talking about the other 363 days of the year when we aren't certain that it is in fact Elijah at the door. The lesson of hospitality might not be the central theme of our Passover Seders. I would say freedom is, but I think we could all agree that what is Passover without guests? Even if everyone in the room is related, in our modern families where people live apart, sometimes from coast to coast, being together feels like a Passover miracle when we all find ourselves around one table. But celebrating Passover without discussing guests, be it real or celestial, isn't really celebrating Passover at all. And I don't mean to say that we need to provide for others to the detriment of ourselves. The truth is that even if Susan and I and the other sisterhood Seder planners didn't eat that night, and we did, we could have gone home and had our choice of foods. We didn't go without. The idea is that we challenge ourselves to really ask, what can I hold back so that someone else can eat, feel welcome, find shelter, be educated, or succeed? It's similar to the concept of divine Siyum, God contracting in order to make space for the world to exist. God was so expansive, there was literally no room for the world to exist, so God contracted. God made the choice to be smaller, to need less room, in order that we might come into being. Now, funny, there is a midrash, a story of the rabbis, that the angels begged God not to create human beings. The angels told God that we would be selfish and awful, and that we weren't worth the effort. But the angels made the mistake of turning their backs on God, and in that instant, the midrash teaches, we were created. Were the angels jealous of God's desire to create us, not wanting to share God's affections, or were they onto something about human nature? Passover is an opportunity for a reorientation of our thinking. Don't just set your table, set your intentions, set your priorities. Neither will be perfect. Who doesn't love a tablecloth full of wine stains and having matzah dust fall out of your Haggadot? But when you set your table with the intention of it being able to fit just one more, you are fulfilling the Haggadah's intention of let all who are hungry come and eat. You might realize that it is not matzah balls and brisket you are hungry for, and after all, if you're the one doing cooking, you're full by the time you get to the table anyway. Either way, when you sit down to your Seder table, you will realize that it was ultimately not a physical hunger you were feeling, but a spiritual hunger to show hospitality to all those who are alone, and a desire to work for the same kind of freedom for all that our ancestors felt when they left Egypt. The Sisterhood Freedom Seder ended with these words: next year in Jerusalem, next year all are free. Next year all are equal. Next year we see everyone as made in God's image. Until this vision of the future is realized, let's just say, next year in Jerusalem, this year, family hold back. Zizan Pesach, Shabbat Shalom.
Try to really appreciate it, but in my sadness I look for a lesson. In my tears I do the same. Every day I count my blessings and make the time to pray. I'm climbing up the tree of life, dancing on the branches, swinging on the vines. Look at me, hey, hey,
Someone came up to Wendy before services and asked her if she was singing tonight. It made her weak. She was. We turn now to the congregational announcements, and we call upon the past president of Temple Israel, Ed Royal.
Shabbat Shalom. I'm looking forward to Passover next Friday night. It's my favorite holiday, so I wish all of you the feeling that you lived it yourself, just as our ancestors did. So we have several announcements for the upcoming week. This Sunday at 4 p.m., the Shmear concert has award-winning pianist Arthur Green from the University of Michigan. That sounds somewhat like an oxymoron. The program is open to the community at no charge, so don't miss it, and go green and blue. Monday at 12 noon is our monthly Ask event. Artist Deborah Ban will share thoughts about her book, Kabbalat Shabbat, The Grand Unification. You can actually see some of her beautiful work on your way out in the display cases. Tuesday night, jumpstart your evening with our new program, Cars and Kibbutz, at 7 p.m. Guest speaker David Zinlia from Haggerty Insider magazine will discuss Judaism's impact on the auto industry. Please bring a non-perishable kosher food item for Yad Ezra. Look for 2 more fun and interesting car and kibbutz events this summer. This is meant for all you gearheads and lug nuts. All children born during the last 12 months to families of our congregation are invited to participate in our Passover morning service a week from tomorrow, Saturday, the 20th of April. They'll be invited onto the bema to receive blessings by their parents, grandparents, and our clergy. Siblings and extended family members are also invited, so please register as soon as possible. Our annual congregational Seder caps off the week next Saturday at 5:30 p.m. Bring the family for this fun-filled evening of song and retelling the ancient story of the Exodus, led by our clergy. Space is limited, so please register. And for more information about any of these programs, to RSVP, you can check the information tables as you leave or call the temple office during regular business hours. On behalf of the Board of Trustees and the officers of Temple, let me wish y'all Shabbat Shalom.
Okay, we have another Austin moment here tonight. 189, as we call all the children forward for a little treat and rise for the adoration. Here he comes.
Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol, atet gdula liyotzeh breshit, shelo asanu kigoyei haratzot, velo samanu kimishmechot adama, shelo sam helgenu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad.
Please be seated as we turn to page 199. In our prayer books, we turn in our prayers and in our hearts and in our memories to those who have died but recently during the past 30 days of Shloshim. Ann Alpert, Ronald Brand, Marcia Davidson, Penny Goldman Feldman, Sarah Garelick, Eileen Gretschko, Arlene Gorecki, Rini Hoffman, Milt Jacobs, Helen Kane, Morton Kaplan, Andrew Katz, Bob Katz, Florence Kobe, Eugene Lemberg, Dr. Stanley Levine, Dr. Saul Margulies, Gary D. Miller, Charlotte Moskowitz, Arlene Parker, Dan Robbins, Lori Rosen, Marilyn Rosner, Irene Schwartz, Norman Schulman, Martin Smith, Marion Solomon, Howard Stone, Valerie Weinberg, Susan Lentz, and David Shanneman. We recall too those whose yahrzeits fall at this time: Elsie Baghdad, Mildred Belgrad, Hilda Berman, Fred Scheiman, George Scheiman, Merrill Feldman, Sarah Diane Feldman, Gladys Marie Cohn Friedman, Hilda Geffen, Edward Geffen, Sam Goodman, Lillian Greenblatt, Jacob Gubel, Norman Gusson, Fry Isaacs, Kipton Kaplan, Isidore Katz, Naomi Linden Klein, Bernie Lampier, Phyllis Lenhoff, Ruth Doris Malik, Suzanne Mendelson, Beth A. Moretsky, Cantor Harold Orbach, Alvin Rotman, Susan Schomburger, Sandra Short, Mildred Singer, Debbie Steinberg, Julia Theis, Jack Warren, Lena K. Saltz, June S. Cole, Louis Roth, Joseph Greenblatt, Laura Kameni, Ethel Ockrent, Mitchell Scott Schechter, Bess Lippberg, Benita Bornstein, Dr. Robert Weinstock, Gary Belgrad, Sam Perlove, Alex Kaber, and Ted Shapiro. May their souls and the souls of all of our beloved departed be bound up in the bond of eternal life and everlasting love. As on page 199, we rise to remember them. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'alma divrach chirutei v'amlich malchutei, v'chaye echon v'yom echon v'chaye d'chol beit Yisrael, v'agala v'izman kariv yimru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach le'olam olamei olmaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, v'yitalev, v'yitalal, shemei d'kudusha b'richu, le'elam min kol berachata b'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiram v'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom ben romav, v'ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. We pray, may the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, and comfort to all who are bereaved among us, and let us say, Amen.
And as we turn to page 204 for our final song, we thank our band. We, of course, thank the amazing Teen Tefillah team and two special young people, Maddie Irie and Andrea Hochberg. Just raise your hands so we know who you guys are. Our team captains. Normally we thank them in the summer, but Maddie, who's up on the second stage, she's going to be at Camp George as a counselor, so we're not going to see her again. So thank you to both of you. It's amazing singing for 5 years with you in the Teen Tefillah team and seeing your leadership as team captains. We thank you, and you made this a beautiful service, yeah?
Pieces of information. First, we have a bar mitzvah going on in the sanctuary. So we have Kiddush in here after the service. So when you leave, please leave as quietly as possible. And I'm looking at a family that I love and know well, and I'm remembering someone who's very special to me, Milford Singer, on this evening, as I recall and spoke Kaddish words.
Beautiful. Iran and Emily, let's get us started.
Salam aleinu
Shalom Aleinu, Otivo Shalom Aleinu, Ve'amulam. Salam Aleinu ve'akol ha'olam, Salam, Salam. Salam Aleinu ve'akol ha'olam, Salam, Salam. Otivo Shalom Aleinu, Otivo Shalom Aleinu, Otivo Shalom Aleinu, ve'akulam. Otivo Shalom Aleinu, Otivo Shalom Aleinu, Otivo Shalom Aleinu,
Shabbat Shalom.